Ladies and gentlemen, in this RedGamingTech.com video, I'm going to be taking a look at the deals for the 27th of December. That's the Thursday. And they're better than yesterday's, but not awesome. The best of the bunch, in my opinion, would be L.A Noire. It's a really good deal, actually. It's 75% off, and it's very difficult to describe other than as a game that is very similar to Grand Theft Auto and similar, but you're actually playing as a cop. It's a pretty cool game, in honesty, and very cool conversation options. You can also pick up the complete edition, which comes with a few other bits and bobs. This will cost you $6.24, or indeed the DLC is fairly cheap. Because of the way that the interactions work and the fact that you have to investigate crimes and that type of thing, some people may not appreciate it that much. I'd recommend you check out more videos on it. It's got a very unique style, however graphically it's quite nice, although it can be a bit slow paced at times. I think for fans of the LA gangsters and the mob and that type of thing, they're absolutely going to love this. For those of you who just want to jump in and go pew pew pew, you're probably not going to be that well served here. That isn't to say that gunplay is particularly bad, but if, for example, you constantly run over pedestrians because you view them to be great target practice, you're not going to be served too well with this game, as it will begin to penalise you. Having said that, it is a pretty cool piece of cinematic gameplay, and as I said, I recommend checking it out. I would say that you could check out one of our videos, but this was actually created exactly 1 month before RGT was created. So, yeah. Next one, Lord of the Rings Lego. I'll be honest, I'm extremely biased against Lego games. I know some people absolutely love them. I'm not one of them. I just can't get into the humour of it at all. And with Lego Lord of the Rings, Amata ended up covering a bit. I did actually play it, so check out our channel if you want some videos of it, early gameplay. In my opinion, I don't like it for several reasons. I think that it's just, a retelling basically of the films, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. But it does it in a way that, in my opinion, is uninteresting. Also, you can't die, which is a pretty similar thing that happened in Batman Lego as well, Lego Batman. And to be honest with you, I don't like that at all. I know some people argue it's aimed for kids, but you know what? I was playing Streets of Rage back in the day, and I could die just fine on that. Thank you, good sir. As I've said, it's not a terrible game. It's not awful. For those of you into that kind of humour, you'll probably like it more. But for me, I couldn't get into it at all, and it just annoyed me more than anything, to be honest with you. Next one, XCOM Enemy Unknown. This is actually a pretty bad deal. It's currently 33% off. Maybe that's a bug. That's all I can assume, because that's quite expensive, considering I've seen it in many places for £15 or around 50% off. As I've said, it's not a particularly new game now. Well, it's a couple of months old, so I suppose it's relatively new, but even so. I've done a very quick Google for you guys on shop2.net. XCOM Enemy Unknown is available for about £15. And you can also get it for a few pounds more on Amazon. That's $17.55. So once again, I'd advise you not to get this particular deal on Steam. That isn't to say it's a particularly awful deal. It's just you could get it cheaper, so why the hell not? As it turns out, however, the game itself is very good. We have videos of it on RGT, and it's basically a turn-based strategy type of game, which normally isn't my thing, but I think XCOM does handle it exceptionally well. It's very cool and has a certain style to it that I think is very hard to describe. Next one, Counter-Strike franchise. This is a bit of an oddie. I've noticed this happening a couple of times actually in this sale. This will get you Counter-Strike Complete, which includes Counter-Strike, the original, Condition Zero, Global Offensive, and finally Source. Now the odd thing here is it's 67% off or £5.65 for the whole complete set. The odd thing is the Global Offensive remains at $5.99. Now, the irritating thing here is if you happen to be like me and you haven't bought Global Offensive yet and you're thinking about doing so, but you don't want to rebuy the entire set of games, you could do. Now, I do know that some Valve packs give you spare copies to gift to others, but the issue you're going to have here is I think anyone that you wish to gift this to has probably already got this game. In other words, anyone who you feel that would be interested almost certainly has this by now. Yeah. Counter-Strike, in my opinion, is a fantastic first-person shooter. It's very different to something like Call of Duty Black Ops 2, which I own. And one of the issues that a lot of people have with Black Ops 2 and other games is the recoil. I'm not saying that, COD's a bad game or anything, it's just how it, happens to be created. And basically the recoil in COD is very low. There are other things as well, such as power-ups, aircraft and being able to choose your own loadouts. Counter-Strike's not like that. Counter-Strike, I'm pretty sure most of you know this anyway, but I'll go through it. Counter-Strike has very wide dispersal patterns for certain weapons. AK-47, for example, spray and pray with that, and you pretty much won't be able to hit a barn. On the other hand, the weapons do absolutely lethal damage. If you're good with, say, AK-47s, and for a long range, you can pretty much take someone out 1 to 2 shots, especially if you're hitting them in the noggin. It won't go too well for them. However, I will say that everyone has their own particular brand of favourite Counter-Strike. Personally, I always liked Condition Zero, and I'd never really got into Source that much, if I'm honest. Global Offensive is very good. I have lots of videos of it on the channel. I just didn't end up buying the full thing after it went past beta, as I just kind of got out of the whole Counter-Strike scene by that point. But anyway, next one, FTL, Faster Than Light. This is actually a really good deal for this game. It's a very cool space exploration, and it's also fairly odd. The game basically allows you to explore space as you'd expect and upgrade your ship by going to various way stations and so on. By the way, there is a video of this on RGT. It also has a very interesting mechanic in that you can, pick up crew and so on, and parts of your ship can become damaged. You can also become stranded literally in space and fail the mission. And there's a good probability as well you can get blowed up. Another point as well is that you can make various decisions, and based upon those decisions, you could either pick up more armor or weapons. For example, you might come across a freight or a pirate ship, and the pirate ship might start surrendering, and they can say, hey, we want to surrender, we'll give you X, whatever X would be, say fuel or whatever. If you say to them, sure, okay, we'll accept your surrender, you get that. On the other hand, you could blow them up. Now, blowing them up might sound, the awesome way to go. On the other hand, if you do this, you could either get a lot more stuff for blowing them up, or you could get substantially less. So sometimes you have to gamble upon this. It's a very, very cool game, and despite the fact that I was really bad at it, I'd encourage you to check out the video. It gives you a good oversight, at least, of how the basics of the game work, as they're quite difficult to explain, a lot of it. Next one is the Worms franchise. The Worms franchise is actually one of those franchises that doesn't usually go on sale massive discounts, but you could buy the Worms Revolution, for example, for $5.99, which is a pretty good price. We actually covered this on RGT, or I covered this on RGT. It's got a certain brand of humour, but especially on the tutorial areas, that I personally didn't like. It really started to grate on my nerves, but the actual gameplay itself is fairly solid. The problem is with these games, much like, well, quite a few gaming franchises now, but Worms in particular, it hasn't really changed that much. Although that is to say that Worms Revolution does do some cool things. It uses the scenery really well. I just don't really think it's exactly a revolution. It's certainly not. It doesn't really make a massive change to the formula, is what I'm trying to say. It is, however, a very cool game, and if you're into either Worms or you're into multiplayer, it's really good fun, and I'd actually recommend checking it out. You can also do local co-op on this as well, which makes it really cool. And of course, you can play people on the same PC and just, laugh in the face as you either place dynamite on top of the head and then run off, and then fail at the jump and get blowed up anyway. Anyway, We have some other deals that I'm going to get into. Sleeping Dogs is £10.19. I did cover this on RGT, and I'd recommend you check it out. In my opinion, this is an absolutely fantastic game. It can be best described as an Asian version of Grand Theft Auto. The only difference is you are playing a cop, and you can basically unlock things by either doing criminal activities or good activities. In other words, be more law-abiding or be, well, less law-abiding. Some people criticize this game for one reason in particular, and that is you get weapons a lot later. You don't just basically run across a pistol in 2 seconds flat. You can actually get them fairly early if you decide to basically mug a police officer or kill a police officer or whatever. You can actually end up with a gun, but generally speaking, you have to actually put some work in to get the weapon. In my opinion, it's an absolutely fantastic game, and one thing that everyone will say is if you've got a machine beefy enough to run it, it absolutely looks beautiful in certain areas. It really does. It really does look very, very, very impressive. The combat is okay. Melee combat is actually, it works pretty well. It just doesn't work quite as well as it could have. In my opinion, counters are a little bit too strong. But the storyline itself is fantastic. I have seen it slightly cheaper in various locations, but that's, a few bucks here and there. So, I'd probably say just to pick this up, to be honest. There you have it. Next one, Steam. Next one on Steam is Space Marines Collection. This gives you a bunch of DLC along with the game itself. The game itself is $4.99, but if you want to pick up everything, the entire shebang, that will cost you $6.24. In my opinion, I actually just bought this game today. I actually got it from Green Man Gaming. They're doing it for $5 without the DLC, but no, actually they're doing it for 6 something. But then you can put in a code, and it goes basically to about £4.20, which is a really good price. It's 30% off. Now, I know what you're going to say. Why the hell did you end up doing that? Was it just you missed it off? No, I actually made a conscientious effort to go for that and save myself a few pennies. It was only a couple of bucks I saved, but it's basically pretty much all of the DLC is for multiplayer focused content, and I'm not really into the idea of playing this on multiplayer. It's just not something that I'm really interested in. I want to play for the storyline. In terms of the actual game, it's really good. I've mentioned this before on a different video, but you feel ridiculously powerful when you play this game. You don't feel like a baby. You feel strong, you feel ruthless, and you feel like you can probably murder half the world. It's very bloody, it's very cool, and in my opinion, it's well worth owning, regardless of if you're a massive Warhammer fan or if you're just casually looking for a game to slice someone open on. Pretty cool. Next up is 30 Flights of Loving. I can honestly say that I haven't played this game, but it's basically a first-person short story. I have heard it's really short indeed. Basically, it scores fairly highly on Metacritic and other websites. I can honestly say that I haven't personally played it. Could be worth checking out. It's $1.99. I think it's going to be one of those type of games that you're either going to love it or hate it, based upon the graphical stylings and everything else. As I said, I haven't really checked it out personally. What else have we got? Also, Orcs Must Die 2 is £2.99, so a really good deal. And in my opinion, it's well worth checking out this game. It's very fun. If you're not multiplayer focused and you're just wanting a single player pew pew pew, it can be very cool. It's basically the classic dungeon defending kind of thing where you set up either traps or what have you, and you basically guard an area and then you progress. It has kind of a sense of humour that isn't actually that bad at all, and it has a demo. Oh yeah, it also has a demo available to it. It also has a certain brutality that's quite fun, and you can switch between melee combat and so on. It's quite fun to actually beat high scores and so on. For $2.99, it's a very, very good deal. You can also pick up a 2-pack of this, although you're only, although it's fairly odd. It's £7.49. So actually, it's more expensive Oh, actually, wait, that's a complete pack. I'm sorry. As well as complete pack of Orcs Must Die 2 is $4.74, or you can pick up the complete pack for $7.49. The complete pack comes with tons of DLC, by the way. And the DLC is also available for 75% off as well. I'd actually encourage you to check this one out, or you can at least buy the base game, or at least check out the demo. It's going to be available for about another 9 hours or so after the video's been put up. Anyway, once again, there is no sign of Far Cry. God knows if it's coming on the sale. I'm shocked, to be honest with you. I can't put it any other way. I'm just shocked it hasn't been up yet. All I could think of is that it's selling really well, or they're just trying to save it until the end. Although, I don't know how smart that is, because let's face it, people tend to go mad at the start. Like, I don't know about you guys, but most people I know who do the Steam sale thing, I'm just basing this upon friends and, forum posts, what they do, they say, hey, you know what, I know the sale's gonna come up. Steam don't announce it's going to be there. They obviously try to hide the fact, but everyone knows it's going to happen. And we all go in with a budget in mind. 90% of us go in with a budget in mind, whether that's 50 or 100 or £2,000, whatever. We've got a budget of how much. Hey, you know what? This is how much we want to spend. And my concern would be, if I were these guys, hey, are people just gonna? Are they worried that people are gonna blow all their budgets before Far Cry is released? Or do they just figure, hey, you know what, this deal's going to be so good that people don't give a rat's ass? Kind of interesting thought there. Anyway, I think that's about everything for this particular video. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed the video. At least got an idea of what you're going to buy. I think there's a couple of stocking fillers in there, if nothing else. I once again recommend avoiding XCOM, just as a quick roundup. Avoid XCOM. Get it from Amazon or shop2.net as it's cheaper. L.A Noire is a very good game, and I'd recommend it. Personally, didn't like Lord of the Rings. Worms franchise, good, but samey from the others. FTL, very good game. And Counter-Strike, well, yeah, pretty good deal. Anyway, hopefully you guys have enjoyed the video. Take care of yourselves, and bye for now.